Okay.
Hello, welcome friends. This time the SAF is coming to you with a little bit more of an eclectic spin. We are doing a one-shot, so to speak. I'm here with my lovely co-host today, Matt Ferrugia. Say hello, Matt.
Hello, everyone. You're going to learn some very important lessons today. Some wonderful stuff.
And I, of course, am your returning, sometimes host, Josiah Biggs. And today we have a very special segment, so to speak, for you guys and gals out there. This is the legendary and infamous SAF, the good, the bad, and the blind dates segment, in which Matthew and I will be giving you guys stories of our romantic past and also do's and don'ts at the same time.
Yes.
So no regular podcast this week. Just a couple guys sitting here drinking a little bit.
I know that I am.
Shooting the shit.
Yeah.
Just two cool guys and we're having a good time.
Are we cool? In the bigger picture. Okay. Are we Arnold Schwarzenegger cool? Are we
I don't think we're overly flamboyantly cool.
Right.
But
I don't want to give us too little credit. We're we are pretty bitchin', but how bitchin' is fair to say.
Well, I guess our previous experiences will speak for themselves then.
Yes. Good point.
So I guess that I will start us out here, and we'll just kind of go back and forth and see what kind of flow we got going here, Matt. Okay?
Sounds good.
Despite being quite popular in high school, I had about 3 or 4 girlfriends, 3 or 4 pretty good, longer than 3-month girlfriends in high school. Don't really want to talk about them too much, because it's terribly cringy and embarrassing and SAO material. Because I used to be quite the fedora man. That's why you won't see any pictures from my high school days besides just band pictures on my Facebook.
Don't worry.
But
don't worry about that, because you might joke and be shit was cringy back then, and who knows, you might be right. I didn't know you back then, but don't worry about it. There was a 1-year period of my life where I literally, and I'm not kidding here, I'm not saying this just to make you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
There was a 1-year period in my life where I wore my leather fedora literally everywhere. So don't worry about it. Shit was bad.
No, I mean, my freshman year in high school, I wore all black and had a ponytail.
All right, fair enough.
No, I would have, pulled up some of my old love journals, which I called them love journals because it was a little, not a binder, but one of those spiral notebooks.
Yeah.
That I would pass back and forth between the girl that I liked, and we would just write stuff back and forth. It's basically like I am, but under the table so the teacher couldn't see.
Josiah, you're gonna make me blush with how adorable that is.
Oh, I had 8 of those for my freshman year in high school, and thankfully I've already burned them, so no one else can see them, or else I would have, pulled one out, and I can't. There became a point where I just couldn't look at them anymore, and I'm like, yeah, it's time to burn these because I don't want anyone ever finding these.
Yep, that's fair.
Because it was terrible. Oh my gosh, it's. Yeah, I also was pretty active on the Neopets forum when I was a freshman in high school. I don't know if you remember what Neopets are.
I do.
They had some pretty bomb forums for that sort of niche.
Oh, as far as things like Neopets went, there were worse things than Neopets. That's more than fair. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but Neopets was definitely a forerunner, but I mean, I was definitely a little bit too old to be Neopetting it up at that point. Of course, I remember in high school that I did go through a lot of like forums, and I was quite the early troll back then before it became mainstream like it is today.
Right.
Although a lot of my stuff wasn't appreciated and was very poorly executed, but
But the intent was there. You were like,
yes,
it was like I am the old god of shit posting, the Cthulhu of trolls, you might say.
well, it wasn't as easy back then. You'd have to start a conversation and then like throw them off the rhythm. It's not like today where you can just post a funny meme after talking to someone after 2 or 3 replies.
Yes. Back then, like, people were like, irony. What is this fascinating concept? Oh, it's funny because it's the opposite. Oh, that's clever. That's clever.
Another popular thing to do back in the old days is get like 4 or 5 friends, or 3, 4, 5 friends around a computer, and hit up a chat room, and just like try and pretend to be someone ridiculous and try and see if you can find someone out there who will believe the story, while you're all giggling.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Back in the old school.
Oh yeah.
But now that we've given a little bit more time frame to this sort of, or a little bit more about what sort of early internet were you into, Matt? Let's paint some pictures before we really get this hot and heavy romance.
Yes, the deep lore of Matt. This needs to come into the open. I finally need to come clean. Back in the day, my earliest internet memories, I kid you not, was being on like E-Bombs World.
Oh yeah.
Just spending time yucking it up there. And not too long before that, my earliest like computer memories, period, just fucking around on the computer for any reasons, just not on the net, is playing Doom with my stepdad. Those were some of my earliest memories, and I cherish those. So those were nice. But when it comes to fucking around on the internet, it was E-Bombs World for a bit back when I was like, and that was like, primary school. Like that long ago, like it was nuts. Then once I got into my high school years, John like shoots jokes at himself every now and then about doing this, but I actually was pretty big into Adventure Quest myself back when I.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I had the Adventure Quest for a good 2-3 years.
Oh yeah, it is a phase where it's like, there's just something beautifully simple about Adventure Quest, where basically any computer can run this fucking thing, and all you need to do is sign in. And I swear to God, for those of you who don't know Adventure Quest, there is literally on the main hub a Battle Monsters button where you just click your mouse and go straight to a fight. It is the most casual, friendly online game you'll ever know. There's no commitment involved. You can just be like, I want to do this for literally just 5 minutes, and the game will totally support that. So that was its hook. Those were some fine days, I have to admit.
Oh man, it was so Microsoft Paint too. Like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was. Oh, just thinking about it now, I'm like, those armor sets I used to collect were garbage. They just look so terrible. Did you ever spend any time on albinoblacksheep.com?
I did not, but please fill me in about what that is.
Okay, maybe it was more of an American site then, but no, it was kind of like E-Bombs World, but it was anything goes on Albino Black Sheep. Like, you would find stuff from all over the net, like anywhere, like there'd be like, oh, this little anime clip, or oh, okay, this guy, like shot himself in the face, or oh, this, it was like the ultimate like post random shit here site,
So it was basically the forerunner to 4chan.
No.
Or worse?
It really wasn't discussion based. It was someone just like posting and people would like submit stuff. But it wasn't like, hey, look at this photo and comment, or hey, it wasn't like a forum based.
Okay.
As 4chan is, you didn't care about other people. You didn't think or care about other people's responses. You were just there to see what was new.
Yeah, fuck them.
Basically.
Okay.
But no, yeah, I spent a lot of times on it. Like, oh my gosh, there was this. Someone posted a song there called "Gonads and Strife."
Good.
It was.
I'm already satisfied.
It was. I bet it's on YouTube somewhere now, but it was just this this song with like bad Photoshop and this and that, and this guy with like a auto-tuned voice just singing about gonads and strife. Like it would. I think it had like one verse to it, and then it was just like the chorus, and it was very amusing to the good old, like 13, 12-year-old self of mine.
So what you're saying is it was basically the intro to the Nut Shack.
Yeah. God, I forgot about that. Why did you remind me about the Nut Shack?
I will tell you why. Because for the past couple weeks, I stumbled across the Nut Shack meme. And now I'm trying to purge it from my brain. And like my other online buddies who I chat with in other chat groups will like post shit about it. Like probably the most infamous one to date, where every utterance of the Nut Shack is replaced with the entire B-movie script. And I see that.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that those two have met finally, the memes, because I mean the entire B movie script has just recently popped up.
Yeah.
I've got some pretty good YouTube videos saved up on that. But getting back to our original topic,
right.
It's very very closely related to the entire B movie script. Is of course our budding romances as young men.
Yes.
A very easy transition, mind you.
Yes.
But so I guess I will. Well, let's just kind of go with the flow like we were going a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm kind of off and on with a girl who's about 200 miles away right now. She and I went to the same school together. Whenever I go up for the fights with my fight league, I always see her. We go out. We go get either get drinks, or go out to dinner, or go see a movie or something like that. We've been on quite a few dates. But she is very stuck to her position. She's a parole officer there in Missouri, and I'm very stuck at the moment where I am, just with my gym and my job, and I'm still just trying to get enough experience so I can move. I would like to move back to Missouri eventually. It's much nicer than the state I'm in right now, although it's my home state. Missouri is a nice place. People a little bit nicer. Not as many people shooting each other. There's like 2 or 3 people die a week here where I live, so there's quite a few gang and other issues currently our town is facing, so it's not really great where I am right now. So
what you're basically saying is your town is like a nice healthy medium between like some of the nicest places in America and Detroit. It falls in the middle of them.
Yeah, my city. Well, I mean, we're the second largest city in Oklahoma, or Tulsa. I mean,
right.
And so we've got about 500,000 people. So it's a good size, and there's some really nice places and this and that. But it used to be much more. I don't want to say segregated, but segregated as far as like nice parts and not so nice parts. But unfortunately, with the expansion and just the way the economy hit us, and a couple of the companies, because there used to be a lot of steel work here, a lot of oil work, a lot of airline work. There was a big place for American Airlines. A lot of places either cut back a whole bunch of jobs or left town entirely, and so there's been kind of a deepening between there's hardly any middle class. And so you're either at the bottom of the totem pole or up at the top. I mean, I'm doing just fine for me because I don't have any kids,
Right.
or a spouse to support or anything like that. So I'm fine with my $30,000 to $35,000 a year. I'm not living large or anything like that, but I'm definitely living at my means comfortably, where I can, do what I want to do and, have a vacation every 2 years and this and that. And,
hey man, you are definitely beating me at a 30 to 35K. So, you should be good.
Well, things cost more in Canada anyways.
I should have, the first thing that I should have taken into consideration is that. So yes, you have a good point.
And the economy is just completely different in Canada as well. So there's no, without the conversion rates and everything like that. there's no. I'm not trying to play the game here, but as far as that goes, I'm still in the poverty level here. But because the medium income in Tulsa is $65,000 a year, and so like I said, 500,000 people.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people at the top that skew that range. But
and you did mention that the middle class where you live is virtually non-existent, right?
Well, it's not virtually non-existent, but it used to be much more.
Oh, okay.
But now it's much less. It's on the decline, just like a lot of places in the U.S. But back to romance. So I go and see her, every 6 weeks, every 2 months or so. We do this and that, but she's not really looking for anything that serious because I can't move that close to her and this and that. But gosh darn if she ain't my type. But no, like I said, we've been on plenty of dates. We've had plenty of breakfast dates, which I love breakfast dates. Going to IHOP, going to Denny's, having breakfast.
We need IHOPs and more Denny's here in Canada. Because whenever I hear about IHOP, I'm like, it kind of has a reputation as being a little bit dirty in some cases. But from what I hear, their breakfasts honestly sound pretty good. And every time that I hear that, I'm like, fuck, we need some of them. You need them. We're behind.
No, IHOPs are much cleaner than Denny's.
Okay, fair enough.
IHOPs usually are a little bit better than Denny's. The only reason we go to Denny's is because sometimes the IHOP is too busy. Right. Or sometimes it's just like, oh, okay, she wants to go to Denny's this time. Okay,
Yeah.
But because they do have a little bit different menu items and this and that. But they did clean up the one that we usually go to, so that's all right. But besides the point, so I'm kind of off and on with her just whenever I'm up there. She's seen other people. I've seen other people. It's not that big,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's really an open relationship, but it's just kind of a little bit more than a friendship at this point. But so that's where I'm at. Matthew, you told me some interesting things before we started the podcast, so how about you pick that up?
Well, my romantic history has
Well, just what are you doing right now? Let's start with today.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Just last night, I went on a date with a wonderful and intelligent young lady, and she is a student who is studying creative industries. And
what exactly does that mean?
That's the problem. See, okay, here's the thing. I was really so focused on
first date. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on trying to keep things flowing nicely, where it's almost all of what she explained went over my head.
Yeah, you were doing improv, so you basically just said yes to everything, right?
Well, I tried not to I tried to do my best not just to be a yes man, but at the same time,
But that's the mode you were in.
Yeah. It's rough. So no, the date itself went well though. We went over to a restaurant, some like the Bee and the Beaver or something along those lines. She lives in Burlington, nice little city, nice place, very close to Niagara Falls, like one bus trip away.
Okay.
As an American, you'll probably know about Niagara Falls yourself because the edge of it is shared by both of our countries.
I've not been there myself, but I plan to go sometime.
Oh yeah, it's nice. Just be sure to hop over the border and see the Canadian side because apparently it's quite a bit better. So yeah, it should be good for review. But back on topic. Yes, I went on a very nice date last night to that restaurant there. They have some fantastic burgers. I'll tell you that for free. Then we went for ice cream. Okay, no, like to be serious for a moment, the burger that I bought from this restaurant had like cheese, fantastic beef, and crab and lobster meat made into the burger. Listen, Josiah, you have not had a burger until you have had a burger with crab and lobster meat made into the patty. It is just that
Well,
good.
I hate to burst your bubble, Matt, but I've had burgers like that. I had plenty of different types of burgers. I used to work at a 5-star restaurant, so I'm no. Even though I live in the Midwest, we like to put cheese and bacon on everything.
Right.
It's I have quite the developed quite the international palate to that my peers don't usually share with me, and I've had quite the culinary experiences while working at that 5-star restaurant and actually going to school. It was actually the restaurant at my school campus.
Nice.
We had a big culinary school there as well, so I've tried many different things. In fact, I used to make sorbet and gelato.
Oh, I have definitely not done either of those, so that's pretty damn cool. Speaking of that, though, one interesting little piece of trivia is I actually did go to culinary school myself once upon a time.
Oh.
Yeah, learned a thing or two. I didn't learn culinary skills to the point where it's like I can pull off masterful dishes for a variety of people. That was more so like I can cook for myself decently and survive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I understand. See, that's why I didn't. I went to culinary and hotel management.
Nice.
And so that I could still take some of the culinary classes, but not become a chef. Because I mean, I really like to cook, but I don't like to cook on anyone else's time.
Yes, I
I
know.
like to cook on my own time.
I totally get you. I instantly get you. Yeah.
I mean, because if you look at some of those chefs when they're like 40 or 50, like they just look like they're skeletons.
Yeah.
Like they're just dead from all the stress and everything else. Like it's just ridiculous. And having to wake up either early in the morning or stay out late at night, it's just. I mean, I wouldn't mind like opening up my own little, like restaurant in like a small town,
Yeah.
like where all I have is regulars, but I don't want to be one of those like, oh yeah, I'm a chef at this, like Mario Batali's celebrity restaurant here, or this or that, or it's just too much work and not enough,
Yep.
self-satisfaction from that sort of job.
We are the prime servers of the entire pizza pasta family. We 24 hours a day I'm here. I don't know how I'm still alive, but I'm pulling it off. Yeah, you don't want to be that. That's fair. No, I totally get you.
Okay, so you took her out for burgers and ice cream.
Great burgers, great ice cream. The ice cream was good. It had like Ferrero Rochers made into the ice cream.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so good. And then we walked along the lakeshore of Burlington and just shot the shit. And that is when she told me she was studying creative industries, which was pretty cool. I told her about my aspirations to become a social worker that I'm currently getting.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I'm currently getting involved in that. And she thinks that that's pretty cool. We bonded over some changes in the youth justice system that we feel need to be made, and we just had a really nice time talking about our lives and what we like and what we plan to do with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And as I mentioned, we walked along the shoreline, so we went down to a little beach area, felt the sand. That was nice for a bit, and then we just sort of wrapped things up and headed on home. And I'll tell you, I had a delightful time. It was really good.
That sounds like a pretty good first date, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but let's see here. So let's see. Well, as far as that goes, I mean, I remember the first time that I saw the. Matthew,
Yes.
I have a very strange record of first impressions in which my usual first impression is terrible, and then I follow it up with like the best like second impression in the world, and somehow it always works out.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how it's just this sort of magic that's endued on me.
Right.
That just seems to happen. Because like I said, the girl I'm kind of, off and on, right now lives in the other state. The first time I met her, well, I can't remember. It was probably one or two. No, it's okay. Yeah, the first time I met her, it was at my last spring formal at college. I'd seen her around before, this and that. Some other guy took her there, but she wasn't having him because I'm not gonna take forever describing the guy, but he was kind of a tool.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, slow dance came on, this and that. You got to understand, there's a good 1.5 feet between our heights. And so I slow danced with her that night. And then so this now, a little bit awkward. First time kind of, saying more than just casual hellos to each other,
Yeah.
And then, well, I was there with a group, the twins. I have these two twins that I was basically like a surrogate college dad to.
Oh, cool.
Tanner and Taylor. And so I was with their group, and they had their dates there, and we had a couple of the guys with us and a couple of the gals with us, and it was just kind of the regular hangout group we went to the formal with. And because some of my other friends, they don't really like to dance, and so usually whenever like either the formal or the prom came up, I would go with these guys. And so hanging out with them, do a slow dance with her, and it's basically the end of the night. Oh, and by the way, we crammed 8 people into my sedan to get there to the dance because nobody else wanted to drive.
You found a way, damn it. You pulled it off. Good shit.
Yeah, I know, but that means that I couldn't, go off with her after the dance to kind of get better acquainted, after that lovely slow dance.
It's a shame.
So a couple weeks pass, and then we're in the cafeteria, and we're talking, and I sat next to her. I was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" Just light conversation, this and that, eating lunch, And she's like, "Oh, hey, do you have Snapchat?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have Snapchat." And so she basically grabbed my phone and installed it on it. And then to this day, she's basically the only person who ever Snapchats me. So.
Right.
I guess there's that, but that's also the story on how I got Snapchat and never use it. No, and so we kind of went off and on, and then when I was working at my internship at the resort I was working at out in the middle of nowhere, Missouri,
Right.
On the river, we would Snapchat quite frequently. And she was working at a server at a new 5-star restaurant that opened up in the area where my college was, because she was a local, and obviously I wasn't. And so kind of after this sort of touching, like not even more than a couple casual sentences to each other, I come up. I think we started talking on Facebook for a little bit. For whatever reason, I can't remember. She posted something, I commented on it, or this or that, or I don't know.
Yep.
And then
in my experience, that's how relationships start more often than you might think. My ex, how things started with her is she was straight up like, "I need an anime to watch," and then I posted that infamous
Boku no Pico. Oh.
Yeah. No. I posted that infamous picture of Joseph and Caesar posing as the pillar men advance towards them, and she's like, "What the fuck is this?" And I'm like, "Listen, it's time for me to fill you in." And then that eventually turned into us conversing and a relationship starting. So Eriki, you are a hero. You have created romance where you wouldn't expect. and that's how that went.
No, I had a very similar in high school. It wasn't by Facebook, but it was on the phone. And man, oh man, I don't know. This was like one of my two bigger high school romances. My junior year in high school, and there was this girl I knew, and she'd actually changed schools recently. And I'd spoken with her, this and that, but I was much more of a loner in the first two of my high school years, and then later I became, like the golden boy. But basically, we'd spoken on several occasions, this and that, hung out a little bit, and then she had left. Her parents moved, and so she went to a different school. That's just how it is. They have different schools for different areas here in Tulsa, and so she was no longer in that district for the school that I was going to. And so she moved schools, I remember I had her number one night, and so I just called it up just to see if it was still her number, because back in those times, still today, people were constantly changing cell phone numbers all the time.
Yep.
And so it's hard to keep up. And you couldn't just check Facebook and see, hey, I got a new number,
How did we survive without Facebook?
You just ask politely, hey, is this still so-and-so's number?
Well, I guess all that I'm trying to say is, this incredible revolutionary site has made us all lazy assholes, and I love it.
Well, I mean, before that, there was, Microsoft IM,
Yeah.
It's just, we're doing the same things, just a little bit different.
Yeah, that's fair.
And now everyone can see it, and you're not just in a tiny little chat room. But... No, so I called her up, and she was at some party. She's like, "Oh, hey, who's this?" Yeah, she's like, "Yeah, who's this?" I'm like, "Oh, hey, this, this is me, this is Josiah, I was just, trying to see how you're doing." She's like, "Yeah, I'm doing really great. I'm at a party right now, but hey, I'll call you back sometime. We'll catch up." I'm like, "Okay, that sounds nice." And so about 3 months of just phone calls, and then I dated her for 4 months.
Right on.
Or 5 months, maybe 6. I can't remember. But no, and so eventually I was just like, we got our stuff together, and eventually we just broke up because, like I said, she lived on the west side of town, while I lived on the south side of town. That's quite. We don't have public transportation here, really, besides really crappy buses that don't keep a schedule. And so, me being not just old enough to drive and not having a car, I couldn't really do much. And so, push came to shove, and thankfully I'm very glad that I got out of that relationship, because now she's gone off the deep end, so good for me.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's happened.
Yeah, that happened to almost all my high school romances except for one. She is happily married, has 2 children, and is very happy, and so I'm very happy for her.
Good for her.
And so that's great.
I guess I can give you a break and pick up for you.
Just keep going on, man. Just pick up the flow, man.
Might as well.
You don't have to announce it. Just take it and run. Take the money and run.
As it's kind of weird, but despite the fact that I'm about half dozen episodes deep by now, I'm still very much a novice at podcasting, and mastering the timing still not super easy. There's still too many times where we'll cut each other off constantly, and that kind of sucks. But no, I'm getting the hang of it. But so how basically my high school romance worked out was my high school girlfriend. I met her in grade 9, and that was fantastic. And then I dated her for a while. I broke up with her because I don't want to be too specific, and I'm also not going to name names, of course. But
yeah, of course.
Maybe this was just me being insecure, but I kind of felt like she was a tiny bit too flirty with other guys, even when I was there. So I'm like, not entirely sure about this, but eventually problems culminated, as they have been known to do, and I broke up with her. And then, being a dumb teenager who had a hard time being by himself, I got back together with her. And then I left the city that I was living in, and I went to go live with some of my biological family for about a year and a half in a city that was miles away. So, spent my time there with my family. Things didn't work out. I ended up moving back to where I was staying before, and then I met her again. She was still in the same school. That's always nice. And I got back together with her again. So this is our third time getting into a relationship, and as you may have guessed, it failed once again. I have a hard time learning from my mistakes, as it turns out.
Well, it's not so much running from your mistakes as much as you're like, well, people. Yeah, it's hard not to give second chances for guys like us. I mean, honestly,
Yep.
I've only ever dumped one person once.
All right.
And the rest have always been, I've been the dumpee. And so I can very much tell you that whenever I start a relationship, I tend to tune out all the bad things, for better or for worse, and just look at the good in the person,
Yep.
And a lot of times that comes and bites me in the ass, and not in the sexy way either.
No.
But it just, I'm a little bit too nice, and sometimes, I just overlook things that are obviously a problem or obviously we need to talk about, and sometimes I choose partners who are less than great at communicating. Of course, I always try and do my best and this and that, and keep everything on the table, and not like job-wise, but just like constant communication.
Yeah.
And not like annoying constant communication, because there's people that text you like every hour out of every day. I'm just like, please, I just need some alone time, please.
Yeah.
But, no, it's just been, as far as like now goes, it's just kind of hard to find somebody who. I'm in this place right now. Well, literally in this place and figuratively in this place, where there are either a lot of single mothers out there, a lot of quote-unquote business women or career women who just like to go out and drink tequila like every night that's not a work night, and just like constantly like to party and don't like turn down or just like to settle in or this or that. It's really hard to find those diamond in the roughs, especially like I said, I usually have terrible first impressions and dynamic second impressions that usually make up for those. But if I don't get that second impression, obviously I'm not gonna get a chance at this. And also I just don't. I go to work, the gym, the grocery store, and other places now, and since third wave feminism ruined picking up chicks at the grocery store, I don't really meet a lot of new people.
Yeah, no, like, I get your situation, I feel for it, and I'm not just saying that because it's like, oh man, that sounds a bit shitty. I'm saying that because your life basically sounds like a mirror image of my life nowadays. Like, I go to work, I have a good time there, I catch up with people there. I have my gym, which is literally 2 blocks from my place. It's a nice short walk. Then I come home and I play Dragon Quest, or I play Killing Floor, or I play something of that nature. So no, we're basically living the same lives nowadays. So once you get settled into that routine and like you're really mentally adjusted to it, taking time out to like be like, I'm gonna see if I can find a partner. It's hard. It ain't easy. And that's why dating sites are so beautiful. They're wonderful.
Well, sometimes yes, a lot of times no, because like I said, even when I do use dating sites, which I have a couple that I'm subscribed to, not terribly active on it, but
Yeah.
I got my hook in the water. It's just hard to find genuine people, or people who are willing to put in the work, or just people who don't want to just like me to buy them a pizza and then never see them again,
Right. No, I guess I just got lucky in regards to that, looking back on it, because the lovely young lady that I took on a date last night, I actually met through Plenty of Fish, so
Okay, yeah, you told me that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not just like trying to dog. I mean, a lot of it's just my geological area, and a lot of it is also just there's a little bit of a stigma. I think the dating scene is obviously different where we are, just like nationally as well.
Yeah.
But as far as that goes, I mean, I have had successful dates with like OkCupid. I've been on a couple dates with that, and I've even had a couple dates with Tinder. But it's just like there's usually nothing really lasting. That's the problem, is that it always goes like 1 or 2 dates, and then it's just like, nope, nothing, never again. Or I don't know. It's just I'm willing to put in the work, but it's there's just something about it where it just doesn't feel as organic as meeting someone. And I mean, I meet plenty of like people at work and this and that, but you don't poop where you eat. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
but I'm more of it's really hard to tell somebody from just a dating profile. You can tell their likes and dislikes and this and that, but how they interact, how do they do this, how do they do that. And a lot of people, especially around here, are actually pretty hesitant to go out on a physical date. And I'm like, why are you on a dating site if you don't want to go on a date?
This is the end result that you're working towards.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
this is the end to which the means you're currently using. And also, screw girls who get on Tinder who are married and just looking for friends. Why are you on Tinder? Get on Facebook. I swear. It's like, I can't tell you how many like profiles I freaking left swipe because it's like, oh, I'm happily married or have a boyfriend. I'm just here for friends.
Yeah, that's do you think that the company who's in charge of Tinder, should they just straight up create a side site for people looking for friends? Would that be a way to get rid of this problem? Because that does sound like something that's like, I don't know. That's a bit weird to me too.
I don't think they make much money off of it because, I mean, the only way they get money is to get people to buy, the Tinder Pro. And if you're just trying to find friends, you don't really need the Tinder Pro. So it'd basically be making, like, having them set up a secondary site with secondary, servers and everything like that. But for no, like, actual gain for them, at least, money-wise. And so I don't really see why anyone would ever do. I mean, there's already plenty of portals like that. Like, you can go, Facebook, like, there's plenty of chat rooms on, like, I don't understand why, there's Reddits for, like, subreddits for, like, almost every major city in the world.
That's fair.
It's like, I mean, there's even, like, Redditors for Redditors that are, like, platonic, that want to just meet friends in their, like, town or close to them, where they can hang out because they have mutual interests. Like, there's plenty of other sites that aren't, like, strictly for dating or quickies,
Yeah, no,
that you could definitely use.
I guess that I'm looking at things too much from a what kind of standpoint should I put it as? Like something that would help people per se. But
Yeah, well,
might-
the thing
but not
is that all
exactly-
apps are businesses at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah, yeah, they
and
are,
you're just thinking of the quickest solution, Occam's razor.
That's
and you're not exactly thinking through the company's eyes, just through a user's eyes.
that's naive of me.
Well, it's not naive. It's just typical.
Yeah, I shouldn't have. I should have given that a little bit of extra thought before speaking up. But no, you have a fantastic point. So, yeah, no, I guess I'm just trying to think of like what could help people, but not like what could help people in their business, which is how I should be looking at it and what makes the most logical sense for them. So yeah, that's fair.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's just really hard to, get out and meet people in an organic setting, where it's not like... It's really hard to pick up people at bars, and it's just, well, usually the type of women there, I'm not really into that sort of thing, I don't know. It went from plenty of people in college and high school to hardly anybody in the adult world, I mean, it's not like... Here, it feels like it used to be much different, like back in like the 90s, the 80s, you know, you can go to coffee shops and you can talk to people, or I mean, like look at like every 80s like action romance where they just like meet up at some place at like some restaurant, or they just meet on the street or in a park or walking their dogs, or you know, like people just meet. Nowadays, you know, everybody's just always ignoring other people in public places. You know, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yep.
And you get called a rapist or a catcaller if you ever try and talk to, you know.
Like, I do, and I will say that it is ridiculous, and yet at the same time, I'm not going to deny for a second that I'm horribly guilty of being one of those people that's usually tuned out to what's happening, because when I'm like commuting to or from work, I have my headphones in and I'm listening to music or listening to a podcast. Like, I'm doing my thing. And in the bigger picture, maybe that isn't something that we should be doing 24/7, and yet at the same time, I can't advocate for not doing that, because if I did, I'd look like a horrible hypocrite, because that's what I'm constantly doing. So, yeah, it's fair to feel that way, but I sure as hell can't be the one to bring up that point.
Yeah, I mean, it also just comes with the times. I mean, I'm not super comfortable with it either. I mean, it's just kind of the social status that we've adopted as time has gone on and more people are online. But then again, it's so hard to, you know, meet people online and do this and that, and I don't know. It's just, trust me, I've been on plenty of blind dates that friends have set me up on and this and that, and it just, like I said, it just doesn't feel as organic as me meeting, you know, finding someone and, you know, liking them, you know, starting a friendship, this and that, and then, you know, working my way over there. Because that's just kind of, you know, I'm not trying to be picky or anything like that, but, you know, I mean, if potentially you're going to be spending your life, you know, the rest of your life with this person, you know, you kind of have to be a little bit picky, you know?
No, you're totally right. It's not a decision that you can afford to make lightly.
And yet so many people do. I mean, freaking divorce rate at 50% is ridiculous, you know?
That is entirely too high. You're right.
Yeah. And the worst part is that both of us, you know, being the male gender, any sort of divorce we would ever be involved in, we lose every single time.
Yep.
Automatically.
Curse this unfortunate fate of straight men. We are, you know, we are pretty fucked there.
I mean, even if either of us were to become a stay-at-home dad, we'd still be screwed.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, just think about that for a second. I mean, the whole reason, like, usually the divorce, you know, you have to pay out, you know, half of your net worth to the other spouse is because they depend on you for that income. But what if you, as a man, depend on their income? There's no precedence for that in the court. Like, it's freaking ridiculous.
It is. Please,
but you know,
please,
escaping the terrible reality that we live in now.
Yeah. Please look forward to our next two-man podcast. Matt and Josiah discuss the flaws in the system of law. That's gonna be a real hit.
Oh, don't even get me started. Number one, there's gonna be a lot of inconsistencies since we both live in separate countries.
That should make for a nice, long and meaty podcast, though. Think of the benefits.
Oh, very meaty. Oh man.
Sorry, please go on.
No, but so what are the sort of like what are the characteristics or, you know, types of character qualities that you look at when you're trying to you know, meet with someone, you know, take them out on a date? Like, what do you usually look for?
I look for someone that is it's something that's hard to put into words. It's more of instinct, you know. It's like when I'm having a conversation with someone and I can tell whether or not they're taking me seriously. That's that's the real distinguishing line right there of like, are they just going at a base level of like, oh, my favorite color is this, and my favorite movie is this. And don't get me wrong, when it comes to just chatting with someone and having a good time, doing that is not a problem whatsoever. But like, when I bring up something about my character and who I am, and I ask them who they are and their character and who they are at a deeper level, and I see them respond seriously, take what I'm saying seriously, and want to talk about themselves and their dreams and their ideals and their future, and I see that, then that's the biggest thing with me. I could have explained that better, but I can definitely tell you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. No, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's always got to be that, that hook of chemistry. I mean,
Yes.
it all basically starts there. I mean, that's kind of like the first impression, so to speak, is that do I have good chemistry, basic chemistry with this person?
Yep.
And then, but I mean, like, there are certain things I look for. Just someone who has, I look for a good work ethic. I look for someone, who has good, strong family ties. I look for someone who's, honest. I mean, there's a lot of basic things, but I mean, there's also a lot of things that, you don't necessarily always think about, but you kind of have in the back of your head that
Yep.
As far as, I mean, just good character. And see, the thing is, the definition of good character kind of changes from person to person, because there are things that certain people, either myself or yourself, deem more important than other qualifications, obviously. But I mean, you always have to have that, base standards. I mean, you got to have standards as far as it goes. I'm pretty sure we've all hit a little bit of rock bottom here every once in a while, but you got to have at least that basic standard.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's good. Because nobody. I don't want to say nobody, but it's always really troublesome if you date, someone who always, it was either depends on their parents for everything, or just constantly, searches for praise from their friends and family, or just constantly, needs attention 24/7. Or I mean, there are a couple of traits that I find annoying, and I generally would, so to speak, say in any sort of extreme fashion, most people would call annoying as well. But I mean, aside from that, it all just comes down, because I mean, it is a work in progress. It's always a work in progress, in any sort of relationship. I mean, even friendships, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's why I don't understand a lot of people, oh, once we get married, everything's perfect. No, I mean, it's just like your friendships, I mean,
God,
it's
no.
like you gotta keep up with people, or else, you just stop being friends. And it's the same sort of thing with romance, if you don't keep up with them, if you don't, show that you care, this and that, if you don't keep on top of things, then obviously it's going to look like you don't care, because obviously you're not making enough time for them, and they're not a priority. And if that happens, then guess what?
If anything, things are only going to get way harder once you get married. Way harder.
Well, I wouldn't say way harder. I mean,
Well, like
it's definitely a mentality shift, and also a lifestyle shift. I wouldn't necessarily say it's harder, as much as you just have to work on things more. I mean, I don't think it ever gets easier, but I don't think it necessarily. I mean, what I'm trying to say here,
Right.
Using tons and tons of words I don't have to, is that you make it harder in that case.
Well, like to be fair, the reason why I say and I assume, since I'm obviously not married myself, the reason why I assume it would only get way harder to maintain a relationship once marriage is complete is because, like, the dating period, that's the preliminary. That's the era where it's like you're trying to charm the other person, you're trying to turn them on to you, you're trying to make them realize that you're not a horrible person, which hopefully they do realize, and hopefully that is the truth. And whereas once you get married, there's that infamous honeymoon period, which is always nice.
Yeah.
And then And once that's taken care of, if you want a marriage that keeps you happy for decades to come, then that's the moment that you need to realize this is not a race, this is a marathon. And when I say this is a marathon, it's not that I want people to believe that I believe that, like, marriage is, like, consistently hard and horrible. I imagine in an ideal relationship and in an ideal marriage it's not. But the fact is, any relationship, and therefore especially something as close as marriage, is going to run into consistent problems. So you're going to have to, if you want to be responsible with your marriage, you're going to have to buckle yourself into being willing to deal with those problems as they come up. And that is decades worth of problems, therefore. So, like, I don't know, man, if you don't feel like you're ready for that, don't put a ring on it, is all that I'm trying to say here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, another thing too is people, you know, they get in that honeymoon phase so quickly, and even outside of there, you know, before marriage, and you know they don't. People. What commonly happens is people lower their standards, and they lower their standards, and they lower because they're not finding the right person, you know.
Yeah.
And so they lower, and then once they find someone that they can stand to be around, you know, they're like, oh, okay, I need to jump on this person. And then, you know, it turns out to be a huge mess. And, you know, I mean...
dating is hard.
It is, because half the time, you know, you don't know if the other person is laying everything out on the table like you are.
Yep.
And that's the gamble, you know. You know, and then the other hard part is finding someone who can stand to sit beside you for 3 minutes, you know.
If they can't handle 3 minutes, kids, then they're not going to handle 30 years, or so on and so forth. That's all that we're saying. If there's one thing that we want you to take away from this, then that's it. Yeah. I've been drinking, in case you haven't noticed.
You're very giggly. But no, I mean, another thing is I mean, like I said, usually I don't sweat the little stuff, but sometimes that comes to an extreme. But I mean, once you're in a relationship and you know you really do care for the person, you really do love the person, you can't sweat the small stuff. You can't become, you know, jaded with just like every little thing, this and that, or if they stop doing this, you start doing that. Like, it's so funny. I've seen so many friends and so many acquaintances like have problems where it could just be solved by a simple conversation, you know, with the person.
Yep.
And also, it's important to take a good attitude into that conversation, because I've seen people, you know, talk about that sort of thing with a terrible attitude, and guess what? It didn't turn out so well. I mean, it's just it's just hard, you know. I mean, especially I'm kind of, you know, I'm a man at a time in this sort of generation as well. You know, I'm very old-fashioned. I don't like to go out and party all the time, but I'm also, you know, I like to go out and do things. But the hardest thing for me, especially with a lot of these young ladies I meet in person or online, is a lot of them are just like adventure junkies. Like, it's like, let's go on an adventure, or let's, you know, I want to, you know, be on vacation, like go 2 vacations every year, or let's go, you know, do this weekend, or this or that, you know, they constantly wanting to do travel. And I like to travel. I've traveled a lot, like in you know, for people around this area, and for people in my situations. You know, my dad took me traveling a whole bunch, even though we weren't the most rich or well endowed with money. We did travel quite a bit around the country. I've been to most of the southern states, and a lot of the East Coast as well. But you know, I'm sorry if I don't want to just like travel constantly 24/7. I'm sorry if I just, you know, want to have most of the Saturdays where I just sit here, or I go, you know, go out or do stuff around town or this that. Yeah, it's fun to get out of town, but I mean, some of these people are just like, yeah, I'm planning to go to like Canada this summer, and then we're going to Hawaii, and then I plan to go to like Budapest next year, and then da-da-da. I'm like, where are you getting the money for this? Like these are all like major trips and this and that, and I'm like, yeah, I like to travel, I like to have fun, but like there are also important things you gotta spend, invest in a house, this and that. I mean, you gotta have priorities in the right spot.
You do. Now that being said, if you don't hit up Canada at least once and meet with Tim and I, then we have a bone to pick.
I know, I promise you, but things happened. Obviously, I'm moving now, and that money that I was going to spend coming to see you guys happened, and then also my parents got the big account this year, and so we're going on a cruise to Mexico, so I had to save up all my time off for that as well, so just kind of poor timing on my part.
No worries, buddy. I'm just fucking with you.
But I am planning on it. I started a little side fund there to save up some money so I can get up there, rent a car. Because apparently I've looked it up. It's much easier for me to just fly up there, rent a car, and then go around with you guys than it is for me to drive up there and try to go through customs through a car. Because that stuff, apparently it's excruciatingly long compared to flying.
I would like to be able to give you a definitive answer now, but as it turns out, I've never left Canada, so I really can't.
Yeah. Well, I've read stuff online, and apparently, and I've cruised to Mexico before and gone through customs and this and that, and like on a cruise ship, and it's really easy. Like whenever you're on a vessel or an aircraft, it's really easy to go through customs, but because they don't have that much to check. But a car, I mean, it's smuggling and this and that, and it's just much more. And you gotta let them know ahead of time when you expect to be there, and traffic can make you late.
Yep.
And like, there's this whole big process that can make it easier, but also is really hard to plan for. And so, yeah, I've already done a whole bunch of research on it. So, but and it's not that expensive. I think full trip would be like $800 for me to just go out there for like 5 or 6 days to fly out there round trip, get a decent car, and then drive around with you guys.
Right on.
But that's the plan.
Yep.
But no, I mean it's not like I said, it's not like I hate traveling. It's just there's so many girls that are just obsessed with traveling or tequila. I really hate tequila, and so it makes me really hard to start off on a good foot with two things I already really don't like with this person. Also, I don't know what it is. It's just, I guess I'm too much of a plain Jane guy when I first start. When my first impression or first or second impression come through, because I've been getting a lot of that lately. And I'm just like, I just don't like to talk about myself too much, I'm not that kind of guy who can sell myself,
No, that's fine. It's alright. The first night, and actually this is the only time so far, to be honest with you, that I've ever had tequila, was a hell of a night for me, and I woke up like not quite the same person. So no, when you try and when you explain your feelings towards tequila, don't worry, I get it. It's that is a whole new ball game right there.
Well, don't get me wrong, I do like tequila, but I don't like bad tequila. I like the tequila that I had when I toured the tequila factory down in Mexico, where it's like $300 a bottle. That's good tequila. That could, I could drink that all night long and probably die the next morning.
Right.
But like the cheap, Patron, really cheap stuff, it's just like, ugh, I can't, whenever I first turned 21, my friends took me out to a Chili's. And do they have Chili's in Canada?
I have never seen a Chili's, so I'm assuming no, unless they're more prevalent in other provinces.
Okay, but you know what a Chili's is, right?
I have vague knowledge, yes.
Okay, yeah, it's your neighborhood grill bar, they microwave their food there.
The most professional, the most wonderful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's the best microwave food you can buy. Which is still not saying very much. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not a bad time because it's cheaper than other sit-down restaurants, And so if you're just like looking for a cheap date after a movie, or something like that, and you're not trying to spend too much, you go to, because you can get like a 2 for $20 or something like that,
Yeah.
But regardless, we went there. Now, much like IHOP and Denny's, I much prefer Applebee's to Chili's. But we went to a Chili's anyway, and my friend bought me my first margarita, and man, that thing was just god awful. I just couldn't. I'm like, maybe because I'd drunken before, or drank before my legal age, of course, like most Americans.
Yeah.
And and I've had things like rum and this and that and other things, but not in adult-sized quantities, obviously.
Right.
But I drank it. They got me 2 margaritas, which was just great, of course. And so I drank the first one. God awful, terrible. I felt horrible. And then I was working my way through the second one. I'm like, maybe I just don't like alcohol. Maybe I'm just one of those people,
Right. Yeah.
I started second guessing myself like immediately. But and so I whenever people like say, oh, let's go out and get margaritas, I'm just like, ugh, I like shudder a little bit, But no, I just don't know, There's just a part of me that's not excellent at this whole new dating scene that's kind of come out of the millennials,
Yeah.
And I don't know. I want to say it's tough for me, but I mean, no, it's tough for a lot of people, and that's not an original story or anything like that. But it just seems like, with media and like sitcoms and this and that and like older movies, it just seems like dating was so much easier back then than it is now. And I don't know. It's just, it's not like I'm losing hope or anything like that. It's nothing depressing. But, it makes you think, while you're sitting alone, drinking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 2.5 Men has it right as far as I'm concerned, where it's like the main cast will, like, go out and meet a woman, and usually things will go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, you know what, you've kind of got that completely right. Thank you, Charlie Sheen, for tempering my expectations.
So Charlie Sheen's not there anymore.
No one's there.
Freaking.
No one's there anymore now that the whole thing has fortunately ended. But you're right, it was Mr. Ashton Kutcher for a while.
Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, Mr. Nikon camera. Mm-hmm. You remember that, right? For a good 2-3 years, all his money was just from Nikon, from making Nikon commercials.
Yeah.
He brought it back though. He did that Steve Jobs movie.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It was the one that everyone didn't watch because there was 2 Steve Jobs movies that came out roughly the same time, and everyone watched the other one.
Right. Bad timing, buddy. Bad timing.
Yeah. Apparently, it scored higher on all the other sites than the other one that everyone watched it too, which was kind of sad to see that it did much better critically, but terrible as far as audience was.
Right. That's fair.
But no, we talked about this a little bit last night, you and I, while we were posting Robbie Rotten memes.
Yes.
But what are your advice for the modern gentleman as far as dating goes, Matthew?
My advice for the modern gentleman is always give the lady time to speak. Give her time to take the floor and explain who she is. Don't try to overpower the conversation yourself. Mm-hmm. That is it's never a great thing. When you get right down to it, we all really like to be heard. Some of us more than others. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but the biggest single piece of advice that I would have to give you right now, and anyone listening right now, and maybe I could think of something better if I was entirely sober, but too late for that now, so fuck it. Always give the lady time to speak. and express who she is. And if you remember that, and you remember to be caring enough to follow through with that consistently throughout your date, then I think you'll probably do not so bad a job. I think things might not go fantastic per se, but things will probably go a hell of a lot better if you let your partner take the floor. So don't be afraid to do that. That's what I've got.
Well, as far as that goes, I would completely agree. Another good indicator of chemistry that I found is whether, because you can ask questions of a girl all day, but whether or not she'll ask you either the same question back, or if she'll ask you questions, if she seems interested in you, because that's a big thing. Because questions are usually, part of the early footsie game, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah, and so you get to know them. You learn their hobbies. Where they're from. The basic background, this and that, and you kind of get a feel for them by just asking simple questions. And if you're the one asking all the questions, that's usually a bad sign.
Yep.
And because that's a good sign of you showing interest. Is always asking them. Not necessarily personal questions, but just like I said, general questions, getting to know them, this and that. Trying to meet the person you're looking at. But because that's usually one of my quantifiers, is because I can ask questions all day. I can hold the conversation by myself basically. But if I'm not getting any good feedback, then that's kind of like a red flag. And as far as that goes too, mimicking also is a big part of dating. Is something that I found out because, say you're both sitting in a booth at a restaurant, and you fold your hands a certain way or put your hands on the table, this or that, because usually whenever you're on a first date, first, second, third date, you take a little defensive posture, just naturally. It's just part of human nature and what we've programmed to be. But if they mimic that exact same posture, or they start, or if you rustle your hair, or rub your nose or do something like that, and they mimic it, because basically what I've heard and seen several times myself is that mimicking is always a good form of flattery. You always try and mimic. Oh, they did that, I need to do that, this and that, just to make the other person feel comfortable is something that I've recently discovered more in my escapades.
Right.
And so that's always a good sign of affection, that they want to be there, that they're having a good time, this and that. But as far as my tips, like I said earlier, just be good communicator. Of course, there's good times to say things and there's bad times to say things. Like, you probably shouldn't talk about, when you had your lung collapsed in 2010 on the first date, and you have a wicked awesome scar and you want to show it to them.
Yeah.
Usually that's like third date material.
Yeah, that's getting down the line a little bit.
Unless it's like an anecdote, like they're talking about someone they knew or something like that, or they had like a sibling had something like that, or they're like in the nursing field, or something like that. There's always a time and a place. It's always good to read the atmosphere, and if you don't know how to do that, just go onto YouTube. There's plenty of douchebags that teach you how to do that.
Yeah.
But if I was to sum up, my dating experience, it would definitely be communication.
Right.
It's definitely key, and of course, it is hard, especially in the very beginning or start of a relationship, to tell if someone is communicating with you as best they can, or if that person just might be bad communications, or if they just aren't showing as much interest as you are, or they could be a lot of things. But like I said, communication, you also got to pick what you want to say, your tone, a lot of things. You have to choose your words carefully, especially in the beginning, because that's when the relationship is usually the most fragile. You don't want to build your house on sand. You want to build it on a good foundation.
That's correct.
Just like everything else in life.
That's how it goes, yeah.
Just like fighting or anything else.
Yep.
You definitely want to start out with the good basics. Always practice the basics and have fun. Don't ever get in a situation where you're not having fun. Because if it's not fun for you, why are you doing it? I mean, it's a little bit different if you've been dating someone 6 months and they want to take you to a craft show and you're not gonna have fun. Because it's a stupid little twiddly craft show that you have no interest in. That's self-sacrifice, and that's a-okay. But if you're going out trying to meet people and you're just not having fun, try and find another venue. There's lots of people out there. One of the kind of switching gears here. One of the biggest things that I've found that kind of it's just kind of messed up, is that when people on their dating profile on these websites, they say, oh, hey, message me if da-da-da-da-da, some of them are really nice, imaginative, this and that, but a lot of them are like, don't just say hi. And it's like, well, how else am I supposed to, introduce myself? Like, they want this amazing anecdote or question that you're going to answer them that they haven't filled out on their 8-page profile.
Yeah.
You don't already know about them from just reading it. It's a little bit insane, Matthew.
It is, your expectations of your partner, especially in a situation where you haven't met one another yet, you've got to be fair. You've got to be considerate. So no, I don't think it would be entirely wrong to say that. Yeah.
So what sort of good openers do you have in these sort of situations?
Openers for a date.
Well, not just for a date, but just like the online dating, especially like first message,
Just like all of that in general.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
All right, and so we are back from our break here.
We had just a couple minutes of technical difficulties, friends. All that you missed out on was that I pulled off a fantastic kill on a burglar that dared to break into my home. He has been dealt with. That was the cause of the break in the podcast, and justice has been swiftly taken care of, and we can now return to fantastic dating advice.
Well, besides that, also the string that is attaching our walkie-talkies transcontinentally broke, and so we had to find the break and tie it back together.
Yes, it's fantastic how you can find string nowadays, and like people who are willing to set up string all the way across 2 countries, like a walkie-talkie that good. Like,
I mean, I didn't believe it when AT&T told me they could do it, but they did it.
Jesus, like, I was with Bell, and like, if they can do that, then sorry, Bell, I'm leaving you. AT&T, they've got some hot new shit, professionalism like you've never seen before.
I mean, is it true what Pat says, that Bell's just the worst?
Okay, so I wasn't lying when I said that I was with Bell just now. But I canceled my services with them a while ago. I'm currently with a dealer called Wind Mobile. It's just you would know what Bell is much better than Wind, so that's why I threw that in as my joke. But Bell is my experience with them. They're a load of shit.
Yeah.
To put it nicely, and that wasn't nicely. So imagine what it would have been like if I had put it harshly. I had a plan set up with Bell back when I was with them years ago before I jumped on Wind, where I had like a single gigabyte of data and a few people that I had unlimited calling with, like a Fab Five kind of thing. And that was all fine and dandy, I guess, but I was not much of a guy for phone calls, so that Fab Five was mostly useless, and the 1 gigabyte of data was not nearly enough because of how much I watched YouTube videos. And that plan was $90, and my current plan with Wind is $40 plus tax, and I get unlimited data. So,
Nice.
Fuck you, Bell Mobile. You are more or less as bad as people make you out to be.
Well, technically, my cell service is done through pirated AT&T. I do something called Straight Talk through Walmart, and basically is that it rides off other carriers. And I have an AT&T chip in my phone, but they don't have AT&T services anymore in their contract in Straight Talk. So technically, I'm pirating AT&T unlimited everything.
You are a crafty man, Josiah.
Well, they just never shut it off.
No, but you are still crafty to not speak up and be like, "Hey, I'm just kind of getting this." That's
No, I was never that guy in school. Well, back to dating. Now that we've touched on the important subject of cell providers.
Yes, dating.
We were talking. I was gonna ask you some of your go-to opening lines as far as messaging someone online.
I would suggest staying away from lines like, "Hey, your tits are fantastic." That is if you want to ask about lines that you should throw down, hey, that's one that you shouldn't. Let's start with that, why don't we?
Okay.
Maybe I shouldn't have even brought that up, but hey, I'm not right in the head right now.
Come back to us, Matt. Come on, give us the dirt. Oh, how did you start the conversation with this young lady that you met last night?
Can we start over again?
Yeah.
I'm just fucking with you. Last night, it was basically just like how did it start again?
I don't know. You tell me.
No. Like I'm trying to reach back. See, now I've fucked up and we've established like a really messed up tone. That was not a good joke. That was not a good joke.
You're getting too meta, Matt. The more meta you get, the fewer people can follow along. Just glaze over it like it's a donut.
Yeah.
Don't bring more attention to yourself by bringing attention to yourself.
Okay, no, like in all seriousness though. Basically it was just something along the lines of, hey, I've seen some of your pictures on your profile. They seem pretty cute, and you seem nice, and I'd like to get to know you. That probably sounded very generic, and it's probably going to sound even worse and more dumb when I listen to this later. But starting with something safe is generally what I'd go for.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I would definitely agree with that. Although, in more recent encounters, as far as I go, some girls don't like you commenting on their physical appearance online. They think it's more of a creepy thing to do. Although, like you said, it does work sometimes. But I've actually chatted up a couple who have told me otherwise. They've told me very passionately otherwise. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry I said you were cute.
Well, okay, like there's the act of commenting upon one's appearance, and there's extremes on both ends of it.
Well, yes, of course, but some people get so touchy about it, though, just because of previous experiences,
Okay, yeah, that's fair, I guess. Like,
I mean, I was well within the caution zone there.
Yeah.
You know, I was nothing too, raunchy, nothing too, anything like that. You know, just simple compliments that you would tell a girl in real life, obviously,
Yeah, no, that's, that's a good idea.
Mhm. Another thing, too, is to always, whenever you send out a message, read it out loud first. Please, please read it out loud first.
I have lost my train of thought. Also, on top of losing my train of thought, your audio crackled for a few seconds there, so I suspect I just lost the last 5 seconds. Your audio was off and on, like crackling for the last 5 seconds before I said that, so I believe that I lost a question from you.
Oh, yes. Sorry about that.
Not a problem.
Let me just mark down the time slot here, and okay. No, I was saying that usually a great tip, especially if you're sending messages or texts, is always read it out loud first before sending it. That way you don't look like a fool.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of things that might seem alright when you're saying it to yourself in your head, but then are terrible, terrible, terrible ideas when you say them out loud.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
It took me a while to figure this one out.
That's alright. Don't worry about it. Also, you just asked me not to draw attention to my own mistakes, so I'm just gonna drop the joke that I was about to make.
And now you're drawing attention to a potential mistake that you're trying not to draw attention to.
Well, listen, this is not going to be our best podcast.
You're wrong. This not with that attitude, Matthew. This is going to be our best podcast. You're going to do it with me. We're going to have a good time. This is going to be a great first date for both of us, okay?
We are having a great time. And I'd be willing to say that the two of us are having a great day together.
Don't get too pushy on me, okay?
Okay, sorry, no. Like, in all seriousness, back to the discussion now. What is it that you wanted to ask me?
I didn't want to ask you anything.
I fucked up again.
Don't worry about it. Well, I think that's about the time that we need to close this. It's been about an hour and a half. We've kept you here. So this is a pretty good little quickie episode here that we both threw together just because we had some free time and nobody else was available for the podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in, listening, and we hope you have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.
Take care, and what's the line again? Should we not do that?
No, that's fine.
That's fair. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay, have a fantastic day, everyone, or a fantastic night, depending on when you are listening to this podcast. Always treat your partner with respect. Do your best to leave a good first impression.
Unless they don't like respect, and then do whatever they want.
Well, if they don't like respect, then that's a bit of a warning sign. But Josiah's...
Well, as long as you have a safe word, it's all right.
Yes. Always do your best on your dates, friends. Do what you can. I wish you luck on finding yourself a fantastic partner. And yeah, that's about all from me.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.